It was supposed to be a quiet Saturday in South Texas, the kind of evening when the air feels heavy but calm when the Gulf breeze drifts through open windows and kids play barefoot in the yard. But that peace didn't last. Just after sunset, the sky began to change. The wind shifted. The light dimmed. And then came the first sound of faint tapping on rooftops that grew louder, sharper, and then deafening. Within minutes, the calm turned into chaos. From Corpus Christi to Portland and Taft, the heavens opened. Sheets of rain gave way to ice hail the size of golf balls, then baseballs smashing everything beneath it. Roofs buckled, windshields exploded, and entire neighborhoods disappeared beneath a storm of white. For thousands of Texans, it felt like the end of the world, a violent reminder that when nature decides to turn, it gives no warning and no mercy. That night, Texas didn't just experience a storm. It experienced a siege from the sky, one that would leave cars crushed, homes shattered, and communities frozen in disbelief. And in the days that followed, as the sun rose over a coastline blanketed in ice, the question hung in the air. How does a place known for heat and sunlight wake up looking like the Arctic? Meteorologists had warned of instability building along the coastal bend, but no one could have predicted how fast it would erupt. Late that afternoon, a surge of warm, moisture-laden air from the Gulf of Mexico collided with a cold, upper-level front sweeping in from the north. Within minutes, the atmosphere over South Texas turned electric. Radar screens across local weather stations began flashing deep shades of red and purple, the unmistakable signature of a forming supercell. By 7 p.m., the sky above Corpus Christi looked unnatural, a dark green-gray swirl lit by streaks of lightning that seemed to dance horizontally across the clouds. Then came the shift. Every storm chaser recognizes the sudden drop in temperature, the eerie silence before impact, and the first gust that makes the trees bow. A wall of wind slammed into Portland and Taft, followed by the deafening roar of hailstones pounding rooftops and cars. The stones weren't small. They were 2 to 3 inches across, heavy enough to crack windows, punch holes through aluminum siding, and bounce like rocks off the pavement. Witnesses said it sounded like a machine gun made of ice. Children screamed. Adults scrambled to pull cars into garages. Within 10 minutes, streets turned white, lawns disappeared under a blanket of frozen chaos, and power lines began to spark in the wind. The storm wasn't just passing through, it was carving a path of destruction straight through the heart of South Texas. The full fury of the hailstorm struck Portland first. Within seconds, the rain hardened into ice and parking lots became war zones. At the Walmart Supercenter, rows of vehicles were left in ruined, windshields blown out, side mirrors ripped away, and metal panels cratered like the surface of the moon. Some drivers tried to take shelter under awnings, but the hail was coming down so fast that escape was impossible. Witnesses described the deafening sound as a freight train made of marbles. Only a few miles north in Taft, the storm's rotating core passed directly overhead. Baseball-sized hailstones pounded rooftops, tearing through skylights and denting metal siding. The force was violent enough to strip leaves from oak trees and shred the tin roofs of small barns. Families huddled in hallways and closets while the walls shook around them. In less than 10 minutes, the storm transformed the town into a landscape of broken glass and white ice. Power poles snapped under the wind. Transformers flared green and blue across the horizon, casting eerie light over flooded streets. By 9 p.m., nearly every neighborhood had gone dark. Emergency crews from Ingleside and Gregory rushed in through sleet-covered roads to rescue motorists trapped in stalled cars. When the thunder finally eased, the only sounds left were car alarms and the steady dripping of water through shattered ceilings. For many residents, it felt unreal, as if a piece of winter had crashed down from the sky and decided to stay. Beyond the city limits, the destruction stretched across the open plains of South Texas. When the sun rose the next morning, farmers found their cotton and cornfields shredded crops that had taken months to grow destroyed in minutes. Rows of irrigation pipes were bent and twisted like drinking straws, barns lost their roofs, and tractors sat half-buried beneath piles of ice. The once green countryside was blanketed in white as if winter had stolen the land overnight. Along back roads near Gregory Kingsville and Alice power lines dangled dangerously low over the asphalt, while flooded ditches shimmered with floating chunks of hail. Residents trying to reach town were forced to turn back. The roads were slick and impassable. Entire neighborhoods woke to find their homes soaked through broken windows, leaking ceilings, and carpets ruined by runoff. In the faint dawn light, the sight was surreal. Palm trees weighed down with ice mailboxes buried, and front yards glistening like they'd been hit by a blizzard. By mid-morning, insurance agents and repair crews were already rolling in. The phones at roofing companies never stopped ringing. Every call told the same story: my skylights gone, my roofs leaking, my cars totaled. Millions of dollars in damage were reported within hours. Yet, for all the physical loss, what lingered most was disbelief. Texans are used to heat, drought, and hurricanes, but not this. As one farmer near Taft said quietly while holding a handful of crushed cotton, "I've seen storms my whole life, but never ice like this." Meteorologists would later confirm that what unfolded over South Texas on November 1, 2025, was a textbook supercell outbreak, the kind of storm system usually seen in the Great Plains during spring, not on the Gulf Coast in late autumn. The ingredients came together with almost surgical precision. Warm, moisture-rich air surged north from the Gulf of Mexico, colliding head-on with a blast of cold, dense air sweeping down from the Central Plains. That clash ignited towering cumulonimbus clouds stretching more than 45,000 feet into the atmosphere, a vertical engine of wind heat and rotation. Inside those clouds, violent updrafts exceeding 100 miles per hour lifted raindrops high into freezing layers of air. The droplets froze, fell, and were hurled back up again, layering ice each time like an onion. When gravity finally won, they fell as hailstones the size of golf balls and baseballs, dense enough to punch through rooftops and shatter tempered glass. Radar images later showed concentric hail cores, dense clusters of ice descending in pulses, proof of how powerful the storm's internal rotation had become. Scientists also pointed to another more sobering factor. Sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico were 2°C above normal, fueling the storm with excess moisture and instability. That heat acted like jet fuel, supercharging the thunderheads and extending their lifespan far inland. Experts warned that such patterns are becoming more frequent as climate change alters ocean temperatures and seasonal boundaries. Hail, once confined to springtime, is now appearing deeper into fall and even winter across the southern United States. As one meteorologist from the National Weather Service in Corpus Christi put it, this wasn't just a freak storm, it was a preview of a future where the extremes of heat and cold calm and chaos can collide without warning, rewriting what Texans thought they knew about their own sky.
Oh, jeez, that's some big ass hail. Jeez.
When the storm finally passed, silence fell over the coast, a heavy, unfamiliar kind of quiet. As dawn broke over Portland and Taft, the full scale of destruction came into view. Streets glistened under a pale orange sunrise, not with rainwater, but with millions of shards of ice. Cars sat dented and shattered like relics from another world. Roofs were punctured, siding peeled away, and windows left open to the chill morning air. For many Texans, it felt like waking up in the aftermath of a war they never saw coming. But even amid the wreckage, that unmistakable Texas spirit, the grit, the resilience, the refusal to surrender, came alive. Neighbors helped one another sweep hail off driveways. Volunteers cleared fallen branches and covered broken windows with plywood. Local churches opened their doors to families without power, while volunteer fire crews handed out flashlights, generators, and warm meals. Strangers became teammates in the long cleanup that followed. By afternoon, roofing contractors and insurance agents flooded into the region, assessing damage that would climb into the tens of millions of dollars. Power companies worked around the clock to restore electricity to the last darkened blocks of Gregory and Ingleside, while emergency responders checked homes for hidden injuries. No lives were lost, a small miracle given the storm's violence, but the emotional scars ran deep. For many, the relentless noise of hail striking metal still echoed in their minds long after the sky had cleared. That night, South Texas froze under the power of nature. But by morning it was thawed not by the sun, but by the quiet, unbreakable strength of its people. The Texas hailstorm of November 1, 2025 will be remembered not just for the destruction it left behind, but for what it revealed. In a state known for heat, drought, and blazing sunshine, the night sky turned to ice. Cars were shattered, homes scarred, and lives disrupted all in less than an hour. But when the clouds finally cleared, they left more than wreckage. They left a message. Nature doesn't whisper anymore. It roars. And if we've learned anything from that night, it's that the line between normal and catastrophic is shrinking. Warmer oceans, unstable air, and shifting seasons are rewriting the rules of weather, turning what used to be rare into what's becoming routine. For Texans and for all of us, it's no longer a question of if the next storm will come, but when. So, as the cleanup continues and the scars fade from the rooftops of Portland, Taft, and Corpus Christi, one truth remains clear. Mother Nature always keeps the final word. If this story moved you, like this video to support real stories that show the power of nature and the strength of the people who endure it. Share it with someone who needs to understand how fast the weather can turn. Subscribe for more true stories of storm survival and science stories that remind us what it means to face the elements and rebuild. And now we want to hear from you. Do you think storms like this are just part of nature's cycle or proof that our planet is changing faster than we're ready for? Are we truly prepared for the next wave of chaos, or are we still hoping it won't reach us, because every storm leaves a message? The question is, are we listening?